Good evening, everybody. Sorry, we are having a bit of a shaky start, but I hope we are now off to a smooth path. I just want to welcome you once again for this evening's training. As always, it's a pleasure to spend this time with you. And from wherever you are joining us, whether here in Africa or further afield, a very warm welcome to you. And as always, hoping and intending that this session is going to be of benefit to you. If you are new to our Thursday evening training, let me introduce myself. My name is Betty Oloo, a long-time Neolife distributor, and very happy to share some product information with you to help you to position your product so that we can reach as many people as we can, because there are very many people out there who are in great need of our products as well as of the education that we provide. So as you might have seen from your invitation, my session today is one we are having for the first time, and that is oral health. I think that this is one more session in which I appreciate the questions that you sent, because it made me realize that it was quite an oversight on our part and on my part in planning the product sessions that we never touched on oral health. And in going deeper into looking at oral health, I actually was astounded at just how important it is to our overall health. And so I hope that you are going to find the information interesting for yourself in your personal capacity. But as always, we don't stop on our personal capacity. We always want to go further out and help those whose lives we touch. So I want to start with some introduction and some background information, because as always, remember, our supplements are there to supplement the improvements we make in our lifestyle. So to begin with, when we speak about oral health, we are speaking about more than one thing. We are speaking about the health of our mouth itself, but also of our teeth, our gum, and our tongue. So these are all the contents of our oral cavity, or what we speak of as our mouth. And research is more and more indicating that oral health plays an important role as a predictor of not only our overall health, but also an indicator of what our health issues down the line might be. So we know probably from our high school biology that the tooth enamel is the hardest material in the body. In fact, we know that it remains very long even after we are dead. The skeleton will remain with its teeth, because the enamel, which is the outer coating of the teeth, is very hard. And the second hardest material in the body is the coating of the tooth to the inside of the enamel. What is covered by the enamel, which is called the dentine, is the second hardest material in the body, which tells us that if the two hardest materials in our body start to disintegrate or to lose their integrity, it should be a warning that some serious assault is being made on our system. So if we are developing cavities in our teeth, it means that something is seriously damaging us, because it is able to break through the hardest material that we have. And for that reason, I thought actually that it's a very important thing that we look into our oral health, because sometimes we simply think all we need to do is brush our teeth and maybe be careful not to eat sweets, and then that's the sum total of it. But I think it's good to have a bit more information than that, more especially because we need to go out there and share this information with others. So maybe something that we have not much thought about is saliva and the important role it plays in our oral health. So the mouth, as we know, is an important entry point into our bodies, and it has no filter. So when our mouth is open, there's nothing to filter what is going to go in through it. Protect us from any harmful or disease-causing germs that might enter into our mouth when it is open, either through food that we are taking in or through the air that is we are breathing in, especially if we're in the habit of breathing through our mouths. So saliva is important for this reason, because it contains proteins and minerals which play an important role in strengthening and sustaining the health of our teeth. In fact, when we are sleeping, we find that I think there's someone who needs to mute. I'm not sure who it is. Yeah, so saliva plays an important role in our oral health because of that fact that when our mouth is open, we have no way of filtering out what is carried in the air that goes into it. If, let's say, we are in the habit of breathing through our mouth, maybe whether during the day or when we are sleeping, that we breathe through our mouth, which is a habit quite a number of people have, then we can have lots of things getting in. And what we rely on is our saliva, which contains certain substances, proteins, and minerals that are important, not only for maintaining the health of our teeth and our mouth, but also of eliminating some of the harmful microbes that might be found in our mouths. So saliva production is therefore a very important part of our oral and dental health, as well as in assisting us in chewing, lubricating our food, and swallowing it. And we know that maybe there are some conditions that interfere with our ability to produce enough saliva, and that can actually lead to problems with our oral health. And this can include things like breathing through our mouths. It can include certain medications that we take, and certain illnesses interfere with the saliva production. So, for example, if someone is undergoing chemotherapy for a cancer that is in the facial area, there can be some problems. Maybe the chemotherapy might kill some of the salivary glands, which means that they are going to start having low amounts of saliva, and that can lead to problems with gum health, with dental health. So I don't know if you are surprised as I was, because I had never thought about the role of saliva as part of our health, but it turns out that it is actually very important, and we need adequate amounts of it, which if we don't have, can actually lead to certain problems. Then the next thing that I thought was of interest was our oral microbiome. If you have been with us for a while, we know we always speak about the friendly microbes that live in our gut, especially in our large intestine. But it turns out we have some friendly microbes that live in our mouth. They are called the oral microbiome, and they are groups of friendly microbes that assist us in keeping down the number of harmful microbes that also are found in our mouth. So there is a tug of war, and if the harmful microbes get the upper hand, then we end up with things like tooth decay, we end up with things like gum disease, and so on. But when our oral microbiome is healthy, it assists us in actually maintaining healthy gums, healthy teeth, and a healthy overall mouth. So most of the microbes that we find in our mouths are actually friendly, and they contribute positively to the oral health. Unfortunately, there are some problematic ones, and the balance of friendly versus harmful microbes is determined by some factors. For example, our diet. As we have noted before, the harmful microbes are very fond of sugar and refined carbohydrates. So if our diet is rich in sugar and refined food, over processed foods and junk food, then the harmful microbes tend to get the upper hand, and we end up with tooth decay, we end up with gum disease, and so on. Another factor, if on the other hand, we opt for healthier food choices, we avoid processed foods, and we take food that are minimally processed, we keep sugar out of our diet, then we find that the friendly microbes are going to get the upper hand and help us to maintain oral health, as well as to avoid things like bad breath and so on. So another thing that can harm the friendly microbes are certain kinds of mouthwash. I know that there are many advertisements about the importance of using mouthwash after brushing our teeth, but I think we should be careful about this type of addition to our oral health, because some of them are not discriminating in the type of microbes they kill. So if you take a mouthwash that says it kills all the germs in your mouth, it probably is also killing the friendly ones as well. And remember, the friendly ones are on our side and are helping us. And if we kill the whole lot of them, it might be that we'll upset the balance and end up with certain problems. So to scrutinize, if we are users of mouthwash, we need to scrutinize whether it's a safe one to use or it's one of those that is going to upset the balance of our oral microbiome. So what happens in tooth decay? Because I mentioned that some of the harmful microbes in the mouth, which are usually there, we just need to keep their population down. They are the ones which are responsible for the process of tooth decay, because what happens is that when they are feeding on sugar and junk food and processed carbohydrates, they then produce certain byproducts, and those byproducts are acidic. And what happens is that the acid that they produce starts reacting with the enamel of our teeth, and eventually they form small holes in our enamel. Those small hole means that now our dentine, the second strongest, because remember, they have now broken through the hardest material in our body, which is the enamel, and they have gotten small perforations which gives them access, the acid, access to our dentine. So once the dentine is reached, then the tooth decay can progress a lot faster, because the dentine is hard, but not as hard as the enamel. And that means that the acid that is being produced by these harmful bacteria is going to burn through the dentine, and soon we find that we've got serious cavities, or we've got gum infections that are swollen and inflamed. And eventually it means that because remember, our teeth are built into our jaw, which is a bone. And if we have already burned through the enamel and we are burning through the dentine, it's just a matter of time before our teeth are not properly anchored into our jaw, and we end up with tooth loss. So it's something that starts very, very easily, as for example, getting in the habit of maybe drinking sodas habitually, or eating sweets like toffee that stick to our teeth. Maybe we are not very careful with our toothbrushing and our flossing. What is going to happen is that little by little, our teeth lose their integrity. And as the years go by, we may start having tooth loss. And this then means that what started as a small problem can actually become a bigger problem, because as we go further down, we'll see that it leads to other things. So a thing to note here is that one habit that is actually one of these habits that seems minor but is quite important is the habit of breathing through the mouth. This has got certain problems that come from it. So, for example, it changes our facial bones, and that can lead to changes in our sinuses. So our sinuses are certain holes in the bones of our face, which facilitate breathing through our nose. So there are filters in our sinuses that help to filter the air, to lubricate and moisten the air when we breathe in through the nose. And it also helps to kill any germs that might be coming in with the air. So the breathing through the nose is very important, because it is the organ that is supposed to be for breathing in and breathing out. When we are breathing in through our nose, we are well adapted to making sure that harmful substances and organisms are trapped into the filtration system that is originates from the nose, and it's part of the sinuses and so on. But if we're in the habit of breathing through our mouth, remember I said the mouth does not have a filter, it relies on saliva and the oral microbiome. So if we are breathing through our mouth all the time and day by day, then first of all, it's not efficient as a way of breathing, but also we may find that our mouth becomes dry because the saliva dries up and we cannot replenish it fast enough. And it is one of the things that increases our risk of having gum disease. So that is the first habit I wanted to mention, for us to try to help our children, first of all, because these are some of the habits that start with childhood, especially if a child has got allergies or has got sinusitis or a cold and so on. And I know this because two of my children had quite a bit of allergy problems, and they tended to struggle with breathing through their noses because their noses were often blocked as a result of the allergies. So, of course, we'll use the supplements that we use in respiratory health, but at the same time, to encourage them by reminding them that they should breathe through their noses because it's a better and healthier way of breathing. So that is a thing to take note of, to avoid that habit of breathing through the mouth. And now there are even things that are available that you can use to tape your mouth if you're in the habit of sleeping with your mouth open at night and breathing through your mouth. They are finding that it is important enough that we should train ourselves by taping our lips together so that we force ourselves to breathe through the nose. It might take a bit of time to get used to this, but just to be aware that it's actually an important thing for our health. Then there are also certain things that are called teeth whiteners, the tooth whitening agents that can actually damage the integrity of our teeth. So it's important to be aware that not everything that is advertised that is going to give you a beautiful, bright white smile is going to be harmless. You may end up with a bright white smile temporarily and then end up losing the teeth. So beware of some of these chemicals that are supplied for tooth whitening. Then certain illnesses, as I mentioned, will undermine our oral health in various ways, including illnesses that affect our immune system. So if we have got an illness that is depressing or weakening our immune system, it can lead to us having problems such as fungal infections in our mouth, which is called oral thrush. This can be the origin of a lot of other oral ill health. Then, what else did I want to say? Some lifestyle habits. It is noticed that tooth decay has increased a lot together with obesity and fatty liver disease, type 2 diabetes in children. These things, tooth decay in children, obesity in children, fatty liver disease in children, type 2 diabetes in children, has been closely associated with the addition of sugar to a large extent to our foods, together with processed foods and junk food. So this has led to these three problems, and these problems are now being found to be interconnected. So, for example, being a type 2 diabetic can increase the amount of sugar that your saliva contains, which can lead to damage to your teeth, which can then lead to other problems that are linked to our hearts, problems linked to our livers, and so on. So this is just to emphasize once again the importance of looking at our diet and eliminating added sugars, processed foods as much as possible. I know that these foods tend to be very convenient and easy for us, but I think that further down the line, we'll find that the convenience becomes very inconvenient when we now have got health issues, either we ourselves or our children. Because remember, if we start having these problems as children, then we have got a lifelong issue. That means we start using medication very young and we start needing medical attention very young. So just to say that as far as possible, we should opt for fresh foods and homemade foods, because then we have got the ability to know and to decide what goes into our food. Then the habit of brushing our our teeth at least twice a day. We should help our children to learn this early and to learn how to do it properly, so that by the time they are a bit older, we can start this from ages as early as 2 or 3 years to do it with them, so that they know how to do it well, and get into the habit of doing it twice a day. It is not really recommended to brush our teeth over and over, like every time we eat, we brush our teeth, because that also undermines the integrity of our teeth. But we do need to brush our teeth before we go to bed and when we wake up in the morning. Before we go to bed, because when we are sleeping, our mouths tend to get a bit dry, and because we are not producing as much saliva as we do during the day when we are active. During sleep, we tend to not swallow as much, so our body reduces the amount of saliva that it produces. And that means that if our mouth is not clean, if there are bits of food that is left in there, and so on, or we had maybe drank some sugary stuff and we didn't clean our mouth after, then the whole night while we are sleeping, the harmful microbes are going to be feeding on those pieces of food and sugars, and then they'll be producing these acids and they'll be damaging our teeth as we are sleeping, instead of the opposite, which should be happening during our sleep, which is that the saliva in our mouth would be remineralizing our teeth. That is, adding back minerals in our teeth to make them stronger. So for that reason, very important to get in the habit of brushing and cleaning our teeth before we go to sleep, and again when we wake up, so that we maintain good oral hygiene. We can also periodically scrape our tongue. You can do this easily using the edge of a spoon if there is a coating at the back of the tongue, or we can just use a toothbrush to brush the backs of our tongue clean in case things are accumulating there. So oral hygiene by brushing and flossing and keeping our mouths clean is important. And this helps to manage the population of harmful bacteria. We cannot eliminate them altogether, but by having good oral hygiene, we are going to keep their population down. And by minimizing their population, we'll minimize the damage that their acidic byproducts do to our teeth and to our gums. Then it is very, very important not to give our infants added sugar in their food. So it's a thing that is very recommended that we breastfeed as our children for the first 18 months of their life. And if they are taking other foods, there should be no extra sugar added, because first of all, they need to develop a broad taste range. If we start introducing them to sugar very early, then they become very attached to the sweetness, the taste of sweetness, and it becomes hard to discourage them from taking sugar. So rather to train them from early to not have sugar added to their food, so that they don't develop that attachment to sugar, which is a problematic item in our diet. Then another problem there can be in our lifestyle is vitamin D deficiency during pregnancy can contribute to tooth decay in the baby once the baby is born. So it is important that our expectant mothers either spend time in the sun to ensure that they have got adequate vitamin D, or if they don't get enough sun exposure, to supplement with vitamin D. This will be important for the health of their baby's teeth, which are still being formed, and also for the skeleton. It's not only the teeth, but also the bones of the baby. So vitamin D is very important because it helps with calcium absorption and the formation of bones and teeth, strong teeth. So then we should not give our children sugary treats as far as possible to avoid this. And this is simply to stop, to avoid them seeing sugar as something that is a treat or a reward for good behavior, because then they will always be attached to that addition of sugar into their lives. And this will be something that might be difficult for them to get rid of when it becomes problematic later in life. Then let me now go to our supplements that we recommend for oral health. The first one, which if you have it in your market, is quite useful, is Acidophilus Plus, because this will increase and support the oral microbiome as well as, of course, the gut microbiome. We're giving us a boost in the population of the friendly microbes that help us to fight the harmful microbes that might be in our mouths. Then the next product is vitamin C, very important for the health of our gum and the formation of collagen. Collagen is the connective tissue that is found all over our body, including our gums. And the attachment of our teeth into our gum and our jawbone. So vitamin C is very important here. We have several types of vitamin C supplements. We have the chewable C that we can give to our little ones. We have got the sustained release C that is also available for us. And we also have got flavonoid complex, which contains some vitamin C. So if you want a vitamin C that also has got antioxidants, you can extra antioxidant, because vitamin C is an antioxidant in itself, but by adding the flavonoids, we also get a broader range of antioxidants. So vitamin C, another one very important for our oral health. And then we have vitamin A plus D. This one helps us to produce adequate amount of saliva to avoid dry mouth, because as I mentioned, having a dry mouth can lead to gum problems such as gum inflammation, gum disease, and further down the line, even cavities and tooth loss. So vitamin A plus D is a good supplement to add. And as I said, especially expectant moms should take care that they're adding this to their supplements. And for us also, we should see if we can add this. If you tend to have a dry mouth, maybe you wake up with bad breath and a dry mouth, you might want to add some of these things to your supplementations just to make sure that your saliva production is adequate, because it actually is important. Then the next supplement I will add there is CalMag, because this one, we can say CalMag, or we can also say multimineral, and we can also add there the standalone magnesium complex. But I'll just mention CalMag here, because CalMag, of course, will give us calcium, which helps with the formation of strong bones and strong teeth. So as I was saying, we do remineralize our teeth if we get into a good oral hygiene habits and good nutritional habits. Then by supplementing with CalMag, we are going to ensure that we have strong teeth that can serve us for a lifetime and will not have issues like gum disease, which has been linked to things like Alzheimer's and has also been linked to heart problems. The germs that cause this gum disease has actually been found to travel all the way to the brain and has also been found to travel to the heart. So the research is still ongoing about how they contribute or if they contribute, but it warns us that our dental and oral hygiene is very, very important. We should be very careful about this, about how we take care of cleaning our mouths and of supplementing with the intention of making sure that our body has everything it needs to maintain our teeth in good strength, because the body can repair some of the cavities if they are caught early and if we avoid some of these dangerous habits before we reach the stage of having big cavities that have to be filled, or having gum disease that leads to our teeth falling out. We actually can turn around when it's still in the early stages. And as you know, with our supplements, we always say better to start early than to wait until we've got a serious problem, like we are losing teeth and we are having to use dentures. Because actually one of the things that leads to having chronic fungal infections in the mouth is the use of dentures if we don't clean them well and if they don't fit well. So just to take care, because the mouth is the gateway, probably the largest gateway through which things enter our body. And as I say, because it has no filter, then we need to do our part in oral hygiene and in supplying our bodies with what it needs to maintain good oral health. I see that my time has run out. So let me take this opportunity to thank you very much for having spent this time with me going through this session. I hope that it has brought you something new, because definitely when I was preparing it, I learned a number of new things and are going to